told you, he missed. But he really wants to fight that fight.
You stay? Great. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to the first annual Kazuko Judo Challenge. We hope to make this an annual event for many, many years to come. Your involvement is what makes this work. This cannot run without you, and so we want to make sure we thank each and every one of you. We hope you have a wonderful time here today. I'm going to keep my announcements short. I am going to be turning this over next to Sensei Bill, who is going to make some announcements for USJA. Then Sensei Rick will introduce the referees, and Sensei Greg will finish off by telling you how the sheets work.
Thank you, Greg. For those of you who are members of the United States Judo Association, the board of directors election is coming up in September of this year, actually it's August. I have some petitions from people who are running. I have them with me. I'm going to look them over. If you could, please sign for those people you wish everybody can see run for the board. Each potential board member must obtain at least 100 signatures. So I have those to about 13 or 14 people here. If there are those of you who wish to run but are not here, you can go, or you don't have a petition, you can go to the USDA website and download a petition. Okay? And I'll have this today, and I'm going to circulate around and ask you to decide. Thank you very much. I'd like to now introduce the referees, if I can remember them all. We have first at the end from Rhode Island, National Referee, President of Rhode Island Judo Incorporated, Mr. Peter Contardo. From Connecticut, Regional Referee, Mr. Steve Tuturo. From New Hampshire, National Referee, Mr. Karim Louise. Next is from Connecticut, National Referee, President of Connecticut Judo Incorporated, Mr. Ron Egnor. Next is from Connecticut, a referee in training, Mr. Sam Sadeghi. From New Jersey, National Referee, Mr. Dave Williams. From New York, a PJUC referee. This is a higher level, it's an international level above national referee, Mr. Billy Martin. From Connecticut, a regional 3-level referee and tournament director, Mr. Larry Bumpus. From Connecticut, Vice President of Connecticut Judo Incorporated and National Referee, Mr. Fred Freeds. From Massachusetts, National Referee, Mr. Dominic Ryan. From Connecticut, Regional 2 Referee, Ms. Joan Love. And from New York, National Referee, Mr. Jesse Wong. I want to thank all the referees ahead of time. Many of these referees are from, if you listen, from out of states. There are many from New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and I very much appreciate all of you coming up here and helping out. I really do appreciate it. To the players and coaches, there are a few new rules we're dealing with starting January of 2009, which you should be aware of by now because it's been on the internet since November. And there are handouts here. Mr. Ron Egnor has handouts that itemize the changes. There are some changes and then just some clarifications, rules that did exist, but they're going to be applied a little more severely. Let me go through a few of these if you haven't heard them, so you're not going to be too surprised when something happens. First of all, the score quota does not exist anymore. The referees will not be calling the score.
However, if you're thrown to your buttocks, which was a score of Coca, and it's forceful and it's clear, the referee will be giving it Yuko. So be aware of it. If it's a weak landing, then the referee will not score it. So the Cokas do not exist anymore. Because Coca does not exist anymore, the first Shido, the first penalty or prohibited act, is free. The referee will point to the player and say Shido. It's supposed to be registered on the board, but what will happen is there will be a piece of tape over the Coca thing to cover up the number. The second Shido will count. It will count as a Yuko, and that doesn't change. The third Shido is Lazari, a near point, and the fourth Shido is Ipan for the other guy. Kazuko Tournament, which means illegal act, being thrown out because of an illegal act. Be aware of it. Because of this, if it comes to pass during golden score, which is matches that end with no score, for instance, if there's a match, playing that match, one of the players gets one Shido, that's just a warning. At the end of that match, that doesn't count, and they have to play a 2-minute overtime. And during that 2-minute overtime, if they get the Shido again, that's free. That's not to count against them. The match won't end. You have to go to 2 Shidos. And if we do go to 2 Shidos in the overtime golden score, then all of the officials have to agree. 2 out of the 3 have to agree to give it, because they are going to lose the match because of that. The other thing is with penalties. Please be careful. Any kind of negative judo penalty, if you're stiff arming or you do false attacks, you drop down into groundwork without trying to throw or trying a very bad throw. It's all right to do a failed attack, go in and you miss it. We won't penalize it. But if you just go in and drop into groundwork, then the referees will give a Shido to the player who does that. So please be very careful about that. Also, we'll move. The next thing is the judo gi. You must have a judo gi that goes to your wrists. So if you look at the sleeves, if you hold your arms up in front of you, if it isn't at the wrist bone or 2 inches away from the wrist bone, then technically your gi is illegal. You're preventing the other player from grabbing your judo gi. Now the referees have been issued these blue cards and white judges' cards, which are measuring devices also. And they will measure this distance. If you don't have the 5 inches, then you're going to be asked to change your judo gi. In the World Championships now, they're starting in January, and at the big senior events in the United States, if you go on the mat with an illegal judo gi, and it is illegal, then it's Hansoko Make. You lose that match because you have the wrong size judo gi. So we will not be applying that severe rule here, but we will be watching the gis to make sure they're legal, that they come to the wrist, that the pants go to your ankle bone, that little bone that sticks out of each side of your ankle, and it's got to go to that point or 2 inches above it. If it's any higher, then it's illegal. Your belt length is supposed to be at least 6 to 8 inches, or actually 8 to 12 inches of hang. If you have little stubby things, you're preventing the player from using the ends of the belts to tie your hands up. You can do it when you learn those skills. White, yellow, and orange, don't worry about it. I know you're all growing up, and it costs a lot of money for these skis, so we'll make allowances for that as you're growing up. But if you're green, blue, purple, and up, you've got to be careful that the ends of your belts are there. And so that they can be, for those players who know how to use them, can use them. If you have any questions, you can see me. I'll explain the rules to you. Also, those coaches who are interested, we do have this handout that goes into more detail. And I just want to say on behalf of the referees, good luck to all you players. The other thing I was going to discuss is dynamic edge, but we're not going to, basically we have some areas, we have a little shorter safety area, so we're going to be, for safety reasons, we may have to call mate earlier than we should if we have the appropriate safety area. So we're going to make adapted rules to handle the situation so that no one runs into the walls or anything. So I just ask you for safety reasons
players play in the middle of the mat. You have a big area. Play the judo in the center yellow area. For you advanced players, if you want to play edge, it's fine, but you're going to face the consequences because we have to adapt the rules for safety. And now I'm going to turn the microphone over to Greg Perry, who will go over what divisions are coming up, what mats to go, and how the system will work.